Martin Luther King Jr. was a Baptist minister. He was a leader. He fought for civil rights for all people. He believed in peace and equality. King's powerful words and actions changed America. Born in Atlanta, Georgia, King experienced segregation firsthand. This unfair system separated people based on their race. Black people faced discrimination in schools, buses, and public places. King wanted to change this. He wanted justice for all. King's message resonated with millions. He spoke out against racism and injustice. He led boycotts and marches. He faced arrest and violence, but he never gave up. King's courage inspired people to fight for their rights. King's legacy continues to inspire us. His fight for civil rights reminds us to fight for what is right. He showed the world the power of nonviolence. He taught us to stand up for justice and equality for all. Martin Luther King Jr. grew up in a loving and religious family. His father was a pastor, his mother was a teacher. They taught him the importance of faith and education. King's upbringing shaped his strong moral character. He learned to love and respect everyone. As a young boy, King saw the effects of segregation. He experienced racism firsthand. These experiences angered him. They also fueled his desire for change. He wanted a better world for himself and for all people. King's education played a crucial role in his development. He excelled in his studies. He attended Morehouse College, a historically black college. He then pursued further studies at Crozer Theological Seminary and Boston University. King's education deepened his understanding of social justice and theology. Through his studies, King discovered the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolent resistance resonated deeply with King. He believed that love and nonviolence could overcome hate and oppression. Gandhi's ideas became central to King's own approach to fighting for civil rights. In 1955, Rosa Parks, a black woman, refused to give up her seat on a bus to a white man in Montgomery, Alabama. Her act of defiance sparked the Montgomery bus boycott. This boycott was a turning point in the civil rights movement. It lasted for over a year. Martin Luther King Jr., a young pastor at the time, emerged as a leader of the boycott. He organized the black community. He urged them to stay strong and united. King's speeches inspired hope and determination. He taught the power of nonviolent resistance. The boycott put a strain on the city's bus system. It also gained national attention. People across America learned about the injustices faced by black people in the South. The boycott showed the power of collective action. It proved that ordinary people could make a difference. After 381 days, the Supreme Court ruled that segregation on buses was unconstitutional. This victory was a major triumph for the civil rights movement. It showed that change was possible. The Montgomery bus boycott made Martin Luther King Jr. a national figure. It marked the beginning of his lifelong fight for equality. Section 4, A Dream Heard Around the World. On August 28, 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his most famous speech. He spoke at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Over 250,000 people gathered to demand equal rights for all Americans. King's I Have a Dream speech became a defining moment in the civil rights movement. With powerful words and a resonating voice, he shared his dream of a nation where his children would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. He spoke of his dream of a day when all people, black and white, would be free to live, work, and worship together in harmony. His words touched the hearts and minds of millions. They inspired hope for a better future. The I Have a Dream speech transcended the boundaries of race and time. It became a universal call for equality and justice. King's words continue to inspire generations to strive for a world where everyone is treated with dignity and respect. Section 5, The Power of Nonviolence. Martin Luther King Jr. believed in the power of nonviolence. He followed the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. King knew that violence only breeds more violence. He believed that love and understanding were the keys to social change. King taught that nonviolent resistance was not passive, it required courage and strength. He trained activists to remain disciplined in the face of violence. He urged them to respond to hatred with love. King's philosophy of nonviolence proved to be effective. When protesters were attacked, they did not fight back. Their peaceful resistance exposed the brutality of segregation. It won the sympathy of people around the world. King's commitment to nonviolence came at a personal cost. He and his followers faced constant threats and violence. They were arrested and jailed, but they never wavered in their belief that love would conquer hate. Section 6, Marching Toward Freedom. Martin Luther King Jr. was a key leader in many important events during the civil rights movement. He led protests and marches across the South. He challenged segregation and discrimination. In 1963, King led a campaign in Birmingham, Alabama. This city was known for its strong resistance to integration. King and his followers faced brutal attacks from police dogs and fire hoses. The images of their suffering shocked the nation. King's efforts in Birmingham helped to turn the tide of public opinion. The violence against peaceful protesters outraged many Americans. It led to greater support for civil rights legislation. Later that year, King organized the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. This massive demonstration drew hundreds of thousands of people to the nation's capital. It was at this march that King delivered his historic "I Have a Dream" speech. Section 7. A Legacy of Hope and Action. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life was tragically cut short. He was assassinated on April 4, 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee. He was only 39 years old. His death sent shockwaves throughout the world. Despite his untimely death, King's legacy continues to inspire. His teachings on nonviolence, equality, and justice remain as relevant today as they were during his lifetime. King's work helped to bring about significant changes in American society. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were landmark achievements. They outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. King's dream of a just and equitable society is still being realized. His life and work serve as a reminder that the fight for justice requires constant vigilance and action. He taught us that change is possible when ordinary people come together to demand it.